That is pretty wild. I don't know if I ever looked in a microscope in middle school and was not a little anxious about it because of that scene.
Yeah, that was gnarly. Oh, can we go back? The skeleton kills a guy. So the mobsters, when they go into the cave, a skeleton jumps out and chokes a guy to death.
A skeleton chokes a guy to death? A skeleton who's dead?
Yeah.
Why do I not remember this?
You know, in the beginning of the movie, a skeleton jumps out and chokes a guy, kills him.
I don't know why that's wiped from my memory. It might have been so stupid that I just was like, okay.
A booby-trapped skeleton comes out of the wall. It gets its bony hands around the guy's throat and kills him. Chokes him to death.
Mark, this is a movie full of science fiction and mysticism, but even I, in my mind's eye, am having trouble reconciling a skeleton using its bones to sort of strangle a goon. I'll go with you on it because we just both watched it. Apparently, I was too busy to pay attention, but yeah, that's that in a movie this weird. That's pretty out there.
And I got to tell you, what I like about this movie is so I have a long commute to work. And so what I do is I'll put a movie on, I'll listen to it. I don't watch it. I put the phone away so I'm not even looking at the screen. But this is a fun movie to listen to as well.
What a weird thing to say.
What do you mean?
I can see why that might be the case for some movies. I don't see how this would be one of them. Although I will say the music's good.
Oh, just the dialogue, though, and hearing Treat Williams talk without
okay, so the music and the Treat Williams dialogue, that I'll give you. But I don't know. It's not like I put the vinyl on the score and the dialogue for the movie, which is a thing they used to do, by the way. It's kind of charming that was ever a trend, but yeah.
I got to be ready for this. So what happened? I just watched the movie, but I got to be dedicated. So sometimes when I just listen to the dialogue, I pick up on little quirks I missed while watching.
Right.
I got to bring my best to these things.
You heard it here, folks. This host comes correct.
Yeah, this host does prep work.
Not like me, who apparently falls asleep in the beginning of the movie.
All right, so how about this? Let's take a break. You'll watch that scene, and when we come back, we'll talk more Phantom. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks, and I have some questions for you, Adam.
Okay.
All right. You ready? You ready for these?
Am I ever ready for these?
If you're a villain and you are going to make a presentation to your cronies, how would you present the plan, the vision to your cronies? Would you have it on? Would you take them out for beers? Would you go into a very sterile office and just have a big whiteboard and draw it out? Would you make a slideshow to show your cronies your plan via, people probably like Google Slides or PowerPoint? How would you present a plan to your cronies?
So this, I would definitely do the latter, right? Like Treat Williams does in this movie, and I would spend all of 2 minutes going into details using all of 3 slides that just show pictures of, like a vague cobweb design, and I would make sure all the blinds were dim, right, so nobody could see what treacherous doings we were discussing, and then just expect them to buy into this. And if they didn't buy into this, I would gore them with a spear. That's exactly how I would present my new business opportunity to the mafia.
You would gore them with a spear, and you would possibly ruin some of the nice wood in your office?
Yeah, anything to get the point across. I think if you gotta make an omelet, you might have to break an egg or two, right?
Yeah, so you got to do a little bit of property damage to prove a point?
Yes, absolutely. Put the fear of God in them because I need my skulls, baby.
No, I love that when that dude gets speared, a mafia guy who says, I'm in the mafia. The only thing I care about is the barrel of a gun. I was an altar boy. And then he leaves and gets murdered.
Yes, thank you, because this whole I'm evil and stuff, but I was raised Catholic, or I'm an American, is a very strange way of romanticizing the mafia. And we've seen this, right, in The Rocketeer. I don't even know if it's in The Shadow. For all we know, it is, because we're batting 2 for 3 here. And it is odd how, yes, in the Art Deco days of the 1930s and 40s and 50s even, we look back and, rose-tinted glasses about so many things, even organized crime, and it's just like so wild to me that yes, there is a greater threat here, right? It's a crony capitalist with ambitions to rule the world with invincible skull stone thingies, but like, do we really need to get on the mafia's D word about it and be like, yeah, I sympathize with these guys suddenly?
Yeah, that was well, I have a question. How would Tony Soprano deal with this? How would the characters from Goodfellas deal with this?
They wouldn't use like the slides. They don't believe in that stuff. You don't. First of all, that's a paper trail. You don't want that crap lying around.
Yeah, you're right. And he didn't make this, Xander Drax.
Oh yeah, like who did he have like produce these? I'm guessing there was just microfilm from like some archive, and maybe that's why it's only like 3 or 4 slides that he put together. But you know, it's not like he's presenting bullet points. So I guess they're doing what they can in the 1930s. But yeah, I don't see Tony Soprano coming to any presentation with a eloquent thesis or any sort of breakout by slides.
And now, what I love, I'm going to go back to Catherine Zeta-Jones, because I forgot to bring something. Oh, also Remar. I love when he smiles when that dude gets speared. Remar's in the background just smiling. That was a good acting decision. He kind of Steve McQueen that scene. There's a moment in this movie where Zeta-Jones had just knocked out Christy Swanson. And
okay.
Remar opens up the door, and he's making Catherine Zeta-Jones carry her. And so Catherine Zeta-Jones walks into the room with Christy Swanson, and she's like, you could have helped me. And Remar just looks at her like, no. And then there's another scene where Treat Williams goes, man, this skull looks great. And Zeta-Jones goes, I used toothpaste on it. I cleaned it.
Toothpaste?
And
really?
I went, what? And then that's not even a point later on.
Yeah, I kind of appreciated that moment. I liked just sort of the moment of levity. Even if it is a weird, sick one. I think at one point she mentions like, oh, once the Phantom's dead, let me have his body. And I'm like, oh, cool. So she's like a necrophiliac now. Wonderful.
She gets into some weird stuff on those planes.
Yeah, that's what kind of my theory that goes into the whole pirates being terribly trained thing. Because I think we talked about this pre-pod, but the idea that these pirates maybe had all the time in the world to train and just zero ability to show for when the women show up in the gang. Maybe that is their goal. Like, please, just someone, won't you kick our ass? Because she does have the femme fatale thing, and it's just like maybe they're just waiting for that one, like, amazing babe to come over and just stomp them. I don't know. I think that's part of the plan.
I gotta read this line. Zeta-Jones goes about the Phantom. She goes, he's probably dead by now. Then Christy Swanson goes, what is wrong with you? And then Zeta-Jones goes, like what?
It's like Suspiria dialogue written for like 13-year-old girls.
And then I was also reading a review for this movie and kind of like a look back at it. I believe it's from, I want to say Nerdist. And this, the person who wrote about it, she wrote something pretty interesting. She liked Christy Swanson, so Austin Cass as an airhead, gets to play Diana, the no-nonsense love interest who A, figures out that Kit is the Phantom, which nobody else ever manages to do, and takes a rain check on romance by leaving him behind at the end, even though nobody refuses the Phantom. I love this line. She also punches a bunch of dudes and gets to wear pants throughout the entire movie. So that was her positive. Christy's like, that was refreshing, I guess, in this movie, that she just sort of left, punch a bunch of dudes. She's a reporter. Her dad sent her out to do a pretty dangerous assignment. I mean, I know we were congratulating a movie for doing the right thing that should have been done all along. But
sure.
It's different. In my head, I thought she was just going to stay around and give him more Phantoms. But she's like, I'm out of here. I'm taking off with Sala, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, honestly, that would have been my plan. I'd have been like, look, this cave is lonely. I got my dog and my horse and this like random servant boy. You're going to have to help me out here.
Now, with all his money, too, why does he not... So he shows up to New York City with only his currency and a bunch of gemstones.
Yes.
But he lived
as one does.
He lived in New York City.
Yeah, but that was a while ago. He probably cashed out before the market crashed.
Oh, yeah. It's 38, right? So it's just sort of... It's probably... The New Deal has already been in effect.
So there's another Movies, Films, and Flicks dissertation for you.
So he left...
Did he cash out before the crash, and what was remaining when he got back?
He left in 32, 33, sometime around there. So that was still in full effect.
Okay.
So he just ducked out.
Yeah, couldn't handle it.
Wow. He just goes back to his island and hangs out. What crime does he fight? Does he just fight crime on this island?
Yeah, like, does he worry about invasive species infringing on the habitats of other animals that have the right to be there? Like, I don't know. Is he some sort of nature wildlife protector?
I don't know. I still love the character. I just want to know. I wish they would have. He said he got something from a prince.
Right, a shaman
Yeah.
gave him the powers, but
Yeah.
we don't really know his mission. All we know is that he stands to fight evil in all its forms. That's all we get.
You mean he wants to slam evil?
Yeah, if the poster is to be believed, and if you don't think we're pulling that out of our butt, just please look up the Phantom poster because it's abysmal. Did the movie no favors whatsoever. Yeah, we don't really have a mission from him. You know, it's pretty clear with other superheroes. You got Batman who lost his parents, and Superman who's an American poster boy for values and lost his parents, and Peter Parker who lost his uncle. So you gotta lose somebody. I guess Phantom, he's in that boat too. He lost his dad, but you know why he continues to carry on the family business. Kind of lacking that. And maybe that's for our benefit. Maybe this movie was like, you know what, we've seen this too many times before. You know what, we're going to give you some jungle action, and we're going to get through this together. Just the meat and potatoes.
Somebody made a pretty good point saying that this was a comic strip in the paper.
Yeah.
So this was told probably 3 frames at a time, maybe 6, a bigger one on Sundays, if that was the case, back in the day. So it must have been really hard to kind of translate this into a full script.
Yeah, well, or very liberating, right? Like you could have done a lot with it. I know from a cursory, look through the research, I believe this was based on 3 specific stories. And one of them was sort of the Catherine Zeta-Jones character. And I guess in the original source material, she had like a squadron of female pilots, which felt very Goldfinger to me. And the other ones were like about the belt, I think, and the ghost who walks. I don't remember the other 2, but it was sort of a culmination of 3 famous Phantom stories.
Got it. And the writer, Jeffrey Boehm, he had in '89, he did The Last Crusade. So this was no chump change script. And he also did Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys thing is maybe a bit harder to see, I guess. But yeah, you can definitely tell there's plenty of Indiana Jones flair in this.
And
there's enough to go around.
He also did Briscoe County. So maybe that's where the Bruce Campbell thing came in.
Yeah, I actually don't know the timeline events on that. I'm not quite sure how big a property Bruce really was at the time. I don't know if that was overblown, but I did read that he was up for the role.
I read his book. He was close. Man, that chin. Billy Zane's better. Billy Zane. So Bruce Campbell wouldn't have worked out to get buff for this. Billy Zane worked out for what 10, like the whole 10 months before. Like he worked. He was scheduled.
Yeah, and he's also like actually a model too.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Joe Dante was on board to direct this when he was in it, and so Dante went and hated on this movie. He said it was too serious, which is an odd thing to hate on this movie for, because I feel like its tongue is placed firmly in cheek. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I do agree, and I wonder how far off the rails he might have taken it, because anything outside of the cheese level that we have with it currently probably wouldn't have qualified itself in the same league as something like Rocketeer or The Shadow.
All right, and then another interesting thing that I thought was pretty cool, the cinematographer David Burr. He works a lot in Australia. He did like Crocodile Dundee in LA, Crocodile Hunter Closing Course, but he's been the focus puller or like the second unit cinematographer on Mad Max Fury Road, Thor Ragnarok, San Andreas, and Aquaman. So this guy David Burr is big, and he's huge in Australia. I thought that was pretty interesting.
He's doing all right for himself. Yeah, that's wild.
And what I noticed was the cinematographer and the production designer came mostly from TV, and also, so did the director Simon Wincer, and Jeffrey Boehm, he had done Briscoe County. So I wonder if the rough production schedule, they brought in TV people, because TV people are so used to just hammering out sets.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no data on that, but that seems like a good way to do it, because these people are used to burning and churning.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, you've worked on sets before, so I couldn't even begin to estimate the kind of work that goes into putting something together that quickly.
If I needed a production designer quick, I just hire whoever does Doctor Who, because I feel like everything I hear about that show, it's always not enough budget and too many sets. So I would just pay them. I'd give them a little more and a little more time, and they would probably think it was the greatest job ever, and I'd get beautiful sets quick.
Yeah, and perhaps it's an unpopular opinion with your audience, but boy, it shows in Doctor Who.